Okay, when you're ready.
Oh, when I'm ready, okay. Can you pick me up okay?
Yeah.
Where would you like me to start? Right at the beginning? Well, the beginning is quite a long story really, so I'm going to try and cut it down to 5 minutes. I was really badly bullied at school from a young age because I had really bad acne. And at the age of 13 I got involved in motorbikes as escapism from the bullies. And I loved it, I loved my motorbikes. But one day I woke up in hospital and nurses were saying to me, "You've lost your arm, Steve." I didn't believe them because I could feel it, and you just don't believe that type of thing. And it wasn't until I went to the toilets one day and I looked in the mirror and I realised that I had lost my right arm. But I'd also lost all my acne. Now my acne is what people had been bullying me for years and years. But I was overjoyed. It didn't matter that an arm had gone, because all my acne had gone. And I was so happy that my acne had gone. I walked out of those toilets a different guy. And I decided there and then that nothing would ever hold me back ever again. Bullies wouldn't stop me. Nothing would stop me ever. And I went out and I decided to forge this really interesting life for myself. I was unemployable and retired basically at the age of 18, because back then, this is 1982, there was no such thing as equality for disabled people. The Equality Act for disabilities didn't come in until 1992. So I had to go out and employ myself. I worked as a DJ, I worked in Benidorm, I worked in the south of France, I was a karaoke compere, I was a break dancer, I was a motor mechanic, I did absolutely everything. I didn't earn lots of money, but I had loads of free time and I enjoyed doing all the things that I was doing. I got involved in vintage jukeboxes and started restoring vintage jukeboxes and old slot machines. In actual fact, my nickname was a one-arm bandit because I used to restore the old one-arm bandits, and obviously, you know, with having an empty sleeve. So I did those for years and years, but I decided I needed a change. So at the age of 34, I went to university. And I went to Leeds Metropolitan University and I studied computer science. I didn't even graduate until the age of 40. But I did graduate, and I graduated with a first-class honours degree in computer science. And for our final year project, we had to create something, and I created a digital jukebox because I knew about jukeboxes. But this jukebox was so revolutionary, everybody wanted it. And in the first 12 months of trading, I'd sold over 400 jukeboxes. I'd created a £1 million product from nothing, single-handed. Well, excuse the pun. And it was brilliant, but a big company in the northeast of England, they wanted it, and they stole my copyright and they reproduced my jukebox, and they sold over £5 million worth of my jukeboxes. So we ended up in litigation, and I ended up in litigation for 6 years, but for those 6 years I had death threats. Somebody would ring every day and threaten to kill me if I didn't drop the case, but I didn't drop it, and I continued. But at the end of the 6 years, when it was all over, I was basically devastated and needed something to get me out of the pit of despair I was in. And I saw this advertisement, flying scholarship for disabled people, and I thought, I'm going to apply for that. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no. And a friend of mine said, but it's really dangerous, Steve. And I said, why? What's the worst that could happen? He said, you could crash and kill yourself. And I said, yeah, but that's acceptable. But it shows you the frame of mind I was in at the time. So I was awarded a flying scholarship and I started flying. I did 12 hours but realised that the prosthetic arm that the NHS had made for me didn't work, and it kept falling off. And it kept falling off when we did simulated landings on the cloud at 3,500 feet. And I remember saying to my instructor one day, John, you have control. And John said, no, Steve, no. You have control. You've got to learn to do it by yourself, one arm or not. I said, no, John, my bloody arm's fallen off. So John took control and we were perfectly safe. There were 3,500 feet below us. We just dropped through the cloud and he took control and he picked up and we flew away. But what was obvious is the prosthetic arm didn't work. So I had to get another prosthetic arm made. The second prosthetic arm took another year to have made, and that didn't work. So finally, I decided I would make my own prosthetic arm. So I did. And it works. And I've now got a patent on that prosthetic arm. I have a company who wants to license it, and now I can continue flying with my own prosthetic arm. I've done 55 hours. The arm has just been flight tested and passed by a medical flight examiner. I now have another 10 hours to go to my private pilot's license. I will be a private pilot, a pilot with one arm. I just think if I can do all these things with one arm, what you're capable of doing with two. I was afraid of flying It took 3 weeks hypnotherapy to get me in an airplane. But I wasn't going to be afraid of things ever again. The bullies weren't going to make me scared. Nothing would make me afraid anymore. I was afraid of horses because I was attacked by one when I was a young boy. So I thought, I'm going to deal with that. And I took horse riding lessons. Now I compete in dressage. Last year, I got first place in the national dressage qualifiers. You might have seen me all over TV. Robopilot, they're calling me. Or the one-arm pilot. You know, nothing's going to stop me. Nothing. What's going to stop you?